Hey, it's your boy Sergeant Hooked on Heroes with another on-the-road review. It's not even sunlight out right now, that's how on the road we are, of Kamen Geats. We're on episode 5 already. If you would like to see this, as far as my thoughts, hear my thoughts on this in more of a written format, which might work for a lot of you, because I talk at like a mile a minute all the time, then you can find me on Superhero Time news network. Skull Charleston put together a little website. It's a tokusatsu journalism website where we talk about many different things. There's reviews, of the different episodes of the different shows and whatnot. There are a plethora of things on there for content. Reviews of the shows, leaks of stuff, new information, things like that, updates on toys and releases and things of that nature. So check them out, Superhero Time. I'm a writer on there officially. So if you want to see my review of this episode in the written format, that's where you go. But yeah, so episode 5 was overall another banger of an episode. I think it's really impressive that we now have a current going Rider series and Sentai series that are just basically matching each other tit for tat in terms of quality in their episodes. Not that Revice wasn't there for a good chunk, but there were some kind of so-so episodes of Revice. And I'm sure there will be some for Geats as well, but so far it's been pretty good. Geats has been heat, if you will. Straight fire, as the kids say. Anyway, so this one was an interesting episode. So the whole concept of the matchup is going to be, for the mission they're going to do for the DGP, is basically duos. So they have, I think it's 4 teams, I think, something like that, 5 teams. Wait, hold on. Yeah, a certain number of teams, and it's duos of the characters. So we have one team is Buffa and Tycoon. The one other team is Geats and Neon, or Nago, sorry. And then the other team is Mary, alongside a new person who enters into it. So we have the introduction of another repaint of the Dapan Shiro / bear helmet, Kamen Rider Punk Jack. It's a pumpkin jack-o'-lantern paint on it this time. And the DGP, Tsumura even says that he is because he just comes out of nowhere. She's like, oh yeah, so we've allowed a DGP administrator to join the match this time to even it up for the teams or whatever. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes. He doesn't talk the entire episode. She even said they're not supposed to speak or reveal their identity at all. So it'll be interesting to see if he stays around for a while, or if he gets eliminated, and if he really will be eliminated because he's an administrator. So I wonder if he's doesn't fit the same rules as the normal contestants. But yeah, it'll be really interesting to see where that goes. We also get a lot of focus on Michinaga / Buffa this week, and I really like that we got this already, some backstory on him. So, as far as we know, the reason he has even joined the DGP is essentially to go after people like Geats, who he thinks are pompous, pricks that he wants to take out. And the reason being, we see that a friend of his got into the DGP and was murdered, was lost and died, and that really shook him. And so that made him want to try and enter and, basically fix that, and just in general protect people from getting, killed and everything, and blah, blah, blah. So he's quite angsty. He's quite the angsty purple bull boy. And we also see that he's a blue-collar worker. He's like a renovation construction worker, basically, which I think is really cool. I don't know if we've gotten a whole lot of that in Rider in recent times, where they actually have a true profession that they're a part of. But I really like it. And he gets hired for a job, him and his crew, until he realizes that it's a job that his crew was hired by Ace, which irritates the piss out of him. And so, yeah, so we get a lot of really good back and forth scenes with them, and a lot of things detailing Buffa's backstory and all of that, as it were. And I really like that. I think that was really cool. We also get a nice lore drop thing from Ace, because everybody's having a hard time with the match, right? So what's happening, it's a game it's set up with a card game called Concentration. I'm not familiar with the game, but it's about getting matching cards, right? and that scores you points, both in the actual concentration and in the DGP round that they're in right now. And so the Jamato all have these like cards on them, and when they're defeated or hit by one of the special attacks from one of the riders, they are they're not really defeated. It just switches the card that's on them. So Ace picks up on this and starts to figure things out, and he gives a really interesting lore drop that because Nago's talking about the different like buckles and everything, and he goes, well, there's actually specific buckles that work better with certain riders. She's like, really? And he's like, yeah, no, truly there is. So apparently, according to Ace, certain buckles work better with certain riders, and they're more powerful with certain buckles than other riders would be, which I think is really fascinating. So he mentions like his go-to, and one that works the best with him is Boost Magnum, being the ranged fighter that he is. Buffa works best with Zombie, and so on and so forth, and that those riders may or may not have the strength to truly draw out the power of those buckles and be successful based upon that. So I like that. I think it's really cool. Yeah, so we get some really interesting little scenes here and there, and everybody trying to score points. First round goes by pretty much, and then nobody scores any points, and so they're resting for a bit and they're trained. Nago and Geats actually train together, learning how to basically fight with each other, which I think is really cool. How much of a big part of this that Neon has now. It's really cool to see a female rider, for one, so quickly from the start of the show be there, and for two, to be so competently written and to be such a competent growing fighter also. I like that about her because she wasn't a fighter before this. She was just a YouTuber basically, and so I liked seeing her like continuously starting to train and like get stronger and fight better. I think it's really cool. So that's going on. So they're training together, and Keiwa is talking with Michinaga about, why don't you trust people and blah, blah, blah. And of course, it's really nice to see this back and forth with them, because Keiwa's on the other side, completely other side of the spectrum, where he's like, I just want to be friends with everybody. He's super nice. Oh boy! Like Mickey Mouse. Whereas Michinaga's like, fuck off, basically. So yeah, and that's where we see some of the backstory things with his friend that died, and blah, blah, blah. And it's funny because it always keeps switching back to Mary and Punkjack, and Punkjack doesn't talk. And so he's trying to, like during different, parts of the match, trying to work with them. He finally gets a weapon. He gets, I think it's the armed mace or whatever it is. So he's using that, and he gives the shield one to Punkjack, and he uses it. And he's kind of impressed by how much like Punkjack just goes straight to fighting and doesn't really do anything else. But still doesn't know like who he is, and he's like really perturbed by him. So anyway, they go through the match and they figure it out, and Ace is the first one to figure out the point situation with the cards, and you have to get, basically what has to happen is you have to defeat two Jamato of the same matching suit to get points, and so they're able to pull that off. So he uses Boost and Magnum because I think Keiwa picks up Magnum again, and he gives it to them. They'll give him Zombie, and he'll give Zombie back to Buffa, because Buffa was using a really cool shot. Buffa uses Magnum, and he like point blank shoots, like does the final strike with it, the critical strike, whatever they want to call it, with Magnum against one of the Jamato, like headshots it basically. It's a really cool shot. It just doesn't clearly, defeat it, because that's not what the point of the game is. And that's what I think is really cool, is it's that kind of that trope where the like brawn character, who's more like physical and more of like a fighter type of character, has to learn to like kind of like where to like place his punches instead of just blindly fighting as hard as possible. That's gotten him that far. Why wouldn't it continue to get him that far? Well, that's why, because this isn't how the game is set up for this round. And so so that part was really interesting. So they make some trades, and Buffa gets his Zombie buckle back, and of course Magnum Boost goes back to Geats. So they're able to score some points. I want to say that Ace like throws some like paint on one of the Jamatos to keep a track on it, and then make sure that Nago hits the right other Jamato to switch the suit on it, and then they defeat their Jamato together and score points. They have 200 points. But right near the end, we get another little interesting drop to how the DGP works, and that is the introduction of chance cards. Chance cards can be purchased by people using their points. So you basically gain like a certain amount of like credits essentially to use to buy like they said cosmetics, but also these things called chance cards. And what it can do in this game is if they use it, the chance card for this type of match will switch up the teams, the duos. And so near the end of it, we see Mary has done that. He's actually gotten the card and is going to switch up the teams. So next week it swaps, and I think Punk Jack, I want to say, goes to be with Kayla. And then I want to say it's Buffa and Mary, or maybe Buffa and Geats and Neon and Mary. I can't remember exactly, but they switch up all the teams basically. So it looks like possibly we see Buffa getting defeated next episode. I kind of feel like this is all going to lead up to, Geats almost winning, and then something else is going to happen, and we're going to have Geats use a wish to reset everything, or we're going to start to see the limits of the DGP, and all these people are going to eventually come back or something. I feel like it's weird that the only ID cores that you can really truly get easily are the ones in the set where you can the one set where you get the Desire Driver, the Magnum and Boost, and the Zombie Buckle along with Buffa's ID core. Those are the only 2 ID cores you can get, which is leading a lot of people to think that everyone else is going to get wiped out. Especially because Tycoons is like a fucking Christmas random item thing. I don't understand that. But yeah, so overall, a really good episode. I really like the setup of the match. That's what's been really cool, is the matches have all had a really interesting premise or setup, and I really like that. So that was really good. The back and forth of the characters is great. I would like to get a bit more of, I'm hoping either next week or the week after, is a focus on Mary if he survives. And I also really like Punk Jack, and I want to see him continue just because I really want to know more about people who aren't that are administrators or part of who I would assume created the DGP, having to play it, and if that means that if they're defeated, if they die like anyone else. Yeah, it'd be really interesting to see where that goes. I also hold a dark theory that all the Jamato are defeated past players that are just trapped in the simulation of having to be Jamato for the rest of eternity. But yeah, so let me know in the comments what you guys think below. I give it probably a score of, I'd probably say a strong 9 out of 10. Not nearly as awesome as last week, just because last week was, Nago's kick-ass episode. But still a really entertaining episode, and definitely pushes the narrative forward really well. As far as updates on the channel, you won't see the Henshins and Homies podcast episodes going to my personal channel anymore. They're going to be going to the official Henshins and Homies YouTube channel. They'll be archived there. They're streamed there live when we live stream, but they also will be archived there once the stream is over. So just a heads up on that. Please subscribe to the Henshins and Homies podcast channel. Thank you so much on that for supporting us and watching us and sharing and commenting and all that good stuff. Thank you so much. Again, for this episode, let me know in the comments, did you love it? Did you hate it? In the middle on Kamen Rider Geats, episode 5. As far as content this week, it's going to be probably the Dom Brothers review. I'll get done this week. And I might do something about Dino Fury. I know on the podcast this week, we're going to be discussing Dino Fury, so if I do anything, it'll probably be something on the weekend, or maybe next week that I talk about it. I did just recently finish season 2, and I absolutely adored it. But yeah, as far as a detailed thing about it, I probably will wait until the podcast is aired, and then I'll do a follow-up little longer, long-form video or a live stream of some kind to talk about it. But yeah, so again, thank you guys so much for subscribing, for commenting, for watching the videos, sharing, all of that good stuff. It means the world to me. We're at 54 subscribers, which is way more than I ever thought I would ever get, so I'm happy about that and thankful. Thank you guys so much. If this is your first time watching the channel, please subscribe for more Toku content. I review Kamen Rider, Super Sentai, Power Rangers, the figures and toys for all of those things. Sometimes I delve into Digimon, Star Wars, Marvel. I try to kind of hit a bunch of different areas, as it were. But until next time, you guys stay hooked on them heroes. I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.